Hey there friends, so for today's video I wanted to show you the process that I go through when I film the videos for a month. Lately I've been spending the first week or so of every month filming all the videos for the next month, and then they get edited throughout that month and then we post them the following month. So anyway, I wanted to walk you through the whole process and show you just how much time it takes and everything that goes into it. So starting out here, you can see I'm doing my hair and my makeup to get started filming. Now, as you might notice, the clock started with 3 hours on it, and that is because before doing my hair and makeup here, I did spend about 3 hours sitting at my desk planning the videos out. So once I had my hair and makeup done, then I had my assistant Summer come into the office and we planned out all the B-roll that needed to be filmed for these videos. B-roll is just the extra shots that we add into the videos to make them more interesting and more dynamic. And I had already decided what shots I wanted to get, but we had to make a plan for how we were going to get them filmed because there were a lot of shots that we wanted. Once that was all done, then the next thing we needed to do was tidy up the space. Here you can see I'm showing Summer some camera settings I wanted her to use, and we're just setting everything up for the shots that we want to get. And so these first shots that we were getting were some B-roll shots of me talking to the camera. So I wanted some shots where we could see the camera in the shots and we could see an example of what it looked like when I was filming a video. And then we did some more of this, but this time from a different angle. As you can see, we keep having to reposition things. A lot of the time, the way that it looks the best in the video isn't really the way that would be most functional in real life. That's something that I've definitely learned from making videos, is that a lot of what you see in videos isn't really quite real life, because you have to do things just a little bit differently to make them look like they make sense on camera. Now, as you can see, Verity, my daughter, and actually Indigo also ended up coming in my office. My husband had to run out the door and he had just an appointment to go to, and we still had a little bit of shooting to do. So the girls came into my office. They were very interested in what we were doing. So this looks crazy with the time lapse because they're flopping all over the place and it looks so violent. But they were having a great time. They were just chilling and watching us, and they thought it was really interesting. And there, what I'm doing is I'm actually paying taxes, because yes, that is part of the day in the life of a YouTuber as well. And then we got one more shot here. There was a B-roll shot that I didn't think we were going to be able to get, but I wanted a shot of me talking to someone on Zoom. And so I asked one of our customer service people, Tiffany, if she would talk to me on Zoom for a few minutes, we could get those shots. And then I just had a nice chat with her while I held the baby. And it was kind of a nice end to this long day of shooting. As you can see, the clock is now at nearly 7 hours into working on these videos. Summer's finishing up addressing those tax forms, and we're just wrapping things up for the day. Now we are on to day 2, and day 2 I needed to do my hair and makeup again because we had a lot more shooting left to do. We had filmed most of the B-roll on day 1, but there's more B-roll left to film, and there's still all the A-roll. I haven't done any of the talking to the camera shots yet. So I tried to film on as few days as possible just because it saves me time, because then I don't have to do my hair and makeup as many times, and that is actually one of the most time-consuming parts of the process. Maybe I'm just slow at this. I probably am just slow at this, but it takes me a long time, partly just because I've got so much hair. So I was able to touch up my hair a little bit, and then we got back to work. So we already knew what shots we needed to get this time, and so we were able to start shooting pretty immediately. Now, what Summer is doing over here is getting shots of the trash can as I throw papers into the trash can. We were sorting through some papers. Here I'm showing a shot of my book for a shot, but as you can see, just tons of different B-roll shots. So then we went over here to take some thumbnail shots and also to get some shots. I needed to get some shots of like counting some money for a financial video I was doing, and we had to try out a whole bunch of different angles to get those shots. Okay, so now at about 9 hours into this process, we've finished shooting all the B-roll in my office, but we need to go out because I wanted to get some B-roll out in the field, I guess you would say. So we needed to drive to a different location. And so we got in the car, and first of all, we had to get some shots actually in the car. I wanted some shots of like driving. So a shot of me like buckling in the seatbelt and a shot of me shifting gears and just that sort of thing. So I always love driving with my employees because it's such a nice time to like chat and just like talk about life, which I think is really interesting to do with people who you work with, because normally when we're in the office, we're just focused on work. So it's nice to get out a little bit and chat a little bit. And of course, Summer kept just filming me driving so that we had even more content for these videos. We didn't want to waste the time at all. So we were driving to a location in the town that just has some nice, a nice appearance, I guess, some nice trees, some nice buildings. And I also wanted a place that wasn't too close to my home just for privacy reasons. So once we got there, then we hopped out and walked down the road, and we wanted to get these shots just out and about to make the videos be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more dynamic. Now shooting in public, I would say, is not my favorite thing. It is a little bit just difficult with people walking around. I find it a little bit awkward. I think everybody does. Well, almost everyone at least. So we were doing these different shots. These were some kind of like slow-mo shots where I'm walking down the road. We wanted to get them from the right angles. And then of course, every time someone walked by, we had to like stop and move off of the sidewalk. Also, you'll notice here we're really far away from the camera, and it's because I actually forgot the camera that was recording the time lapse, and we walked away from it. This is something that kept happening over and over again while we were recording this time lapse of filming next month's videos, where I would forget the camera in a location and we would move to a different location, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, we got to go back and get the camera. So we finished getting those shots, and of course we had to drive back home. And you'll notice that here before we start driving back home, we got these more shots of just like buckling in and stuff. And that drive looks really short, and that's because I didn't want to bore you with seeing us drive again. But so now we came into my home, and I wanted to get some shots in the living room. So of course that necessitated cleaning the living room. That is another part of the filming process that takes way more time than you would think, and is just a bigger part of the process than you would think. Is every time you go to shoot anything, there's normally some sort of mess that has to get cleaned up. You know, ideally your space is just already clean, but at least my reality is having kids that mess things up. Okay, so I know these shots look really weird, but I wanted some shots of me lying on the ground looking stressed out for one of the videos, and this shot was surprisingly hard to get. The lighting was just being tricky between the cool light coming in the window and the warm light that was reflecting around my house, but finally we did get those shots, and then it was time to move on to the next thing, and that was taking thumbnail photos for these videos. So as I'm sure you know, every YouTube video has a thumbnail, and you have to have the right photo to pair with that thumbnail or to use in that thumbnail. And sometimes you can just use a shot out of the video, sometimes you can just use a photo you already have, but I find that generally I get the best thumbnails and have the best click-through rate if I just take photos specifically for those. And I definitely wanted to get these done now while I had my hair and makeup done the same way as it would be in the videos, just so that it would match. So we took a few there at the desk at first, but then we set up this separate set that I was going to use for recording the A-roll for several of these videos, because I wanted the setting to match as well. Okay, so I'm trying to make a video about me making the videos for next month, and I keep failing hard and forgetting to record this, or forgetting that this is recording and then leaving it recording in the wrong location. But I just filmed the A-roll for the very first video that I am recording for next month, all about how to be confident on camera. So I just thought I would show you real quick. This is my little filming setup right here where I was shooting the video. And I just wanted to show you what that looked like, and also let you know how long it took me. Right now I'm filming that this evening because sometimes I like to film A-roll for videos after my kids go to bed. So right now it is 10 o'clock at night, and it took me just about half an hour to film the A-roll for that video. I'm planning to film the other 3 videos that I need for next month tomorrow, probably at nap time, maybe in the evening again. So I'll be sure to show you guys that, and so you see what the filming process actually looks like. But I just wanted to let you know this took me about 30 minutes tonight. Okay, and this brings us to day 3 of shooting. So at this point, we have done all the B-roll. We've done pretty much all the thumbnails, but I still haven't talked to the camera. So I have to do hair and makeup one more time. And so at this point, my hair isn't curly anymore because I took a shower. And so I'm going to have to do something with it from scratch. Again, this is a time-consuming part of the process. I mean, it's time-consuming even for you to watch this time lapse. And the time lapse, every second that you're seeing here in this time lapse is a minute. Every minute that you're seeing in the time lapse is an hour. So yes, we are at over 14 and a half hours of time invested into next month's video so far. I would say it typically takes me anywhere from about 10 to 25 hours to produce the 4 to 5 videos that you guys see in 1 month. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are grabbing the last few thumbnails, and you'll see me go through a few different dresses here because I wanted a different thumbnail in each dress for each of the different videos. I wanted to wear a different dress in each video, and I wanted them to match. And sometimes, the thumbnails are really, really quick to get. Sometimes we take just 3 shots and it's like, oh, one of those looked great. But other times we have to spend an hour taking photos for one thumbnail because we're just keep fiddling with the angle. We keep changing how my hair looks. We keep trying different expressions, and it can just take a long time to get it right. Okay, so at this point I need to move on to another part of the process, but I wanted a few more shots of the plants in my office, and so I asked Summer to do that. And meanwhile, I was working on some other related tasks, talking to the team about some things, working on a few camera settings and just shifting things around. And then the next thing that we needed to do was sort all of the footage that we had taken. So every single clip needed to get labeled and added to the correct project. So Summer hadn't done this for me before, so I was giving her a bit of instruction about how I wanted her to label them and what I wanted her to look for when she was choosing the photos for the thumbnails. Meanwhile, I'm over there working on the business finances a little bit, just keeping everything organized. And what you see me doing right here is I'm reviewing a video edit from the video editor. This is one of the videos that you saw last month, but at the time when we were recording all of this, we were still in production for that video. And so the video editor, whose name is John, he had done the first round of edits on this video, and I had to review it and make notes about anything that I wanted to be changed. And I really am the person who has to do this task because only I know what I wanted the end result of the video to look like. This takes me anywhere, I would say, from about 10 minutes for a shorter, simpler video up to an hour for a longer, more complex video. And so here you see Summer sorting all of those video clips, and I'm so glad that Summer's able to do this. She did an awesome job with it because it is a very time-consuming task, especially when we do a large amount of B-roll clips like we did for this particular shoot. It can take a few hours. So what she's doing here is she's labeling them so that we can archive them and potentially use them for future video projects and be able to easily sort through them based on what is the actual content that is in the clip, but she's also sorting them into the different projects for the videos that we were working on for this specific month. With all of that out of the way, it was finally time to sit down and finish recording the A-roll for these videos. So I didn't really need Summer's help with this part. I've had people help me with this part in the past, and it often ends up just being them sitting there waiting for me while I talk to the camera, and it ends up being a little bit extra awkward. I did have to kind of readjust a fair number of things here just to get all the camera settings exactly how I wanted. We had initially set things up, but there's always just a lot of fine-tuning. Sometimes it just takes me a few minutes. Other times it will take me as much as an hour to get all the settings just as I want, which is another reason that I like to film several videos at once. So as you can see here, I had the microphone really close to my face at first. I was recording a voiceover for part of the video, and then I backed the mic up to actually talk to the camera so that the mic wasn't in the shot. And so now I've changed my outfit to record the next video, but I used exactly the same scene because this was for the 0 to 1 million series that we did this past month, and I wanted all of the videos to have a really similar look and feel so that they really clearly went together. Now, because I had planned these videos out ahead of time, it didn't take me that long to film each of them. I would say it took me probably between 30 and 45 minutes per video, even though, they were just as long as the videos that I normally make, around the 15-minute mark, but just the more carefully I've planned them, the faster I can film them. Okay, and so then this was the very last day of production for these videos. I just had to do some last cleanup tasks, kind of sort through that A-roll and upload that to Drive. And then I wanted to readjust a few camera settings that I noticed had been a little bit problematic as I had been recording these videos. So that's pretty much everything that goes into filming a week's worth of videos, and by a week's worth I actually mean a month's worth. So in that 1 week we normally film 4 or 5 videos, and then those videos get posted the following month. So like, let's say we film those videos at the beginning of June, then we'll spend the rest of June editing them, and then they get published in July. So as you probably noticed, there were some parts of the video creation process that weren't shown, like editing. That was just us filming, essentially. And that's because I outsource the editing of my videos most of the time. Now, as I have time, I do edit a few of my own videos because I love the editing process, but I just don't have time to edit most of them, so most of that editing gets outsourced. So that was not shown. But just the filming process normally takes us between 10 and 20 hours, depending on how much B-roll we want to get to add into the videos. Now, there were a few little parts that I missed throughout this filming process this past week, and that's just because we were focused on filming the videos, and so sometimes I forgot to remember to record the process. So if you want to see me maybe do this again, because every time I make videos, it definitely looks different because every video is different. So let me know down in the comments if you would like to see that in the future, and I hope you really enjoyed this, and maybe it gave you some insights into what kind of a week in the life of a YouTuber is like and what being a YouTuber is like. And be sure to let me know if you have any questions at all in those comments down below. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe before you go, especially if you are interested in learning more about how to grow your YouTube channel or build an online business. That's what I talk about every single week here on my channel, and I would love to have you join me for the next video. So click that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to ring the bell as well so that you get notified and you don't miss anything. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.